the amount of hype or amount of validation you need for the products that are quicker is much higher than if you have, for example, a domain knowledge. So with video candy, basically we spent so little time on it in the preparation, and it was so outside of our scope that if the validation itself is not a massive success, we will probably never do it.
In this episode of Behind the Product, we are going to talk about killing the ideas or products in the right time, and when is the right time, and maybe show you that killing the ideas in the right time is really crucial and beneficial, and you should not be afraid of it. Now, a bit context about us. We are a product team doing our own business products for 7 years now, and in this series we are sharing what we learned and what's actually happening behind the products we build and in our product team and in the business in general, and we just freely talk about it. And today with me, here is Marek, the guy in the red shirt. He's a backend developer, and Predrag, he's a full stack developer, and I'm a product manager and designer. And this topic came to my mind because of Video Candy, which is a tool we did, or an idea we wanted to do, that should allow you to add any video to your website in a super simple way. So, for example, you can make a better connection with your visitors. You can showcase your product in a super easy way, onboard your visitors. And we had this idea, and it was pretty cool. Like, we wanted to use it for our own products, and it made a lot of sense to us. So we decided to go through that idea. We thought about the target audience, how we would like to do it, how we would like to develop it, and then we did a landing page, because that's how we mostly do it. We launched that landing page, showed it to a few people, and there were signups, and there was some interest, and it was like meh interest, and that's it. Like, that's where the product ended, at least for now. And I had a discussion with Jordan. Jordan, if you are listening, hello. About that, if this is right or wrong, and there are many views on it. We did this decision, and I'm quite happy we did it. I'm quite happy we didn't continue doing this product, but I also see many other people right now on LinkedIn that did the same product. It's called VideoJet, and there are a few others, and they are quite successful. Like, the product, the product is working for them. It might be a successful business, but we didn't do it, and we had our own reasons, and that brought me to the idea of talking with you guys about when is the right time to kill the ideas and how beneficial it is and what we did in the past. So how we do it right now, or what are the ways to do this, and what are the things you should consider. And Preddy, you had some interesting ideas about that there are many possible ways to come to this conclusion.
Yeah, basically, I think the way you decide that the validation is done, that either failed or is completed, basically is, I think, dependent on the amount of preparation you did previously.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Video Candy is a good example. For example, of the product, we thought about 1 to 2 days. We had a quick idea. We did a landing page. It didn't work out, so we killed it. But the idea is that it's not your domain knowledge. You're not really sure it's going to work, and it's supposed to be either quick win or quick deaths. So
I think the question is or not the question, but you said, Preddy, it didn't work out. The Video Candy didn't work out. But what does it mean didn't work out? We got 15 people subscribed to it and interested in the product without any marketing at all, which could be considered a success. It's not much. We've seen bigger interest in our other products, but there was no marketing. It could be it validated the product makes sense, but why we decided not to pursue this idea, why we decided to kill it?
I think this is quite important, because I think the amount of hype or amount of validation you need for the products that are quicker is much higher than if you have, for example, a domain knowledge. So with Video Candy, basically we spent so little time on it in the preparation, and it was so outside of our scope that if the validation itself is not a massive success, we will probably never do it. But to give you, for example, a counterexample, right now, if we are in the content field and we think of some product in the content field, even if we get 3 emails, that could be considered success, because we will continue we believe in the product, and we will continue with the validation for the next 4 months. and we'll of course like iterate, create different products and stuff like that. So basically, at least from my point of view, the less time and the quicker the idea is, and the less time you spend preparing, the more successful should the validation be in I guess kind of like a viral way, basically.
There is really not simple answer to this, right? Like it's so complex. You have to take so many things into account from if you want to pursue this problem space for a long time. Then as you said, maybe just a little interest might be enough because you are dedicated to stay within it for a long time, and those three people will be enough for you to continue being in this space. But if it's like one shot product that should be quick win, as you said, you would expect a lot of interest because you are not going to spend too much time on making that interest higher, or how to say it, right?
Yeah,
uh,
exactly. It's like, so basically, if you don't post it like Hacker News and get 400 upvotes and everybody wants it, I think it can be quite hard to get enough like traction and a hype to actually start developing the product in a big way. If you
yeah,
don't really
quickly.
believe it, yeah,
Yeah, if you
quickly.
if you don't want to be in it regularly, which was the case with Video Candy. Like we have other things we are pursuing right now, and thus we calculated that this little interest mm, doesn't evaluate, or how to say it, the time doesn't it doesn't make sense to put the time needed to develop it into it, because like we will not get enough gain from it.
Maybe there's like another question, like, does it even make sense to approach like building products like this? Like, I'm not saying it doesn't make sense. I'm just like thinking loudly. Like, have we ever had an experience where we like started this way? Like, we tried something in to put together in a few days without really, committing into that space and having a success. Like maybe
We
Welder was like that.
Yes, maybe Welder was like that, and we had some project in the past like Happy Ship, which was a tool for
Yeah,
developers
but
to
that really didn't work at all.
yeah,
Like,
exactly. But it's a good use case, as you said. Like it didn't work, uh, and it was a tool for developers to streamline their flow in continuous development, because there are many steps that can be streamlined. And it was interesting idea. We had Thomas on the board who was expert in the field, which helped us a lot. And we tried to hack it together in 1 week, and then the interest exactly was not high enough, and we decided to kill it. Maybe we spent too much time on it on the product building side. Um,
yeah, because we also made another mistake, which we talk about like in previous videos, where we underestimated the technical complexity of the project. So
yeah,
we spent like 2 months on something we thought is going to take like 2 weeks. And another problem was that like we weren't interested in that problem space that much.
we were actually, but it was like we didn't want to stick with it that much. I don't know why at the time.
We tried to get
It was too
interested
hard.
in that, but
It was literally
it,
hard to be experts in it. Feel like it was hard to feel that we can become experts quickly enough with our experience, so we can develop this kind of tool, I believe.
Yeah, I
But
think at the time we didn't really have experience. I think working on in big companies. We only worked I think in Twisto, and we didn't really like have the entire picture. Basically, Thomas had it, but we didn't. So it was hard to believe in the project. And this is exactly the kind of project that honestly could probably work if we spent like a year on it. But we weren't willing to commit. Basically,
but
that was
there
it.
are cases where people are successful overnight from a hackathon, and that's what we are talking about. It's about the context. And I believe it's really important to be honest to yourself and be attentive to this thing, to put these things into the context, and to kill the idea if it's not working enough in this context. And I can see why this can be hard for people to kill these ideas, because idea is kind of manifestation of yourself. It's manifestation of your belief system, of what you think will work in the world. And if it doesn't work, you want to see it works. So maybe you can say like 15 signups are enough. But it's important to be honest to yourself, because they might not be enough, and it might like backfire a lot 2 months into the journey for you. And it's not about like killing idea is hard. and I believe for many people it's super hard. It's your baby.
I think it's not that hard when you are a developer, because like when you work on something, like in the initial phase, it's like everyone is so hyped out, and it goes pretty quickly. But usually after some time, you will like hit the wall, and you have to fix the bugs. You have to
Hmm.
spend more time on doing things which are not that productive anymore, and like you just want to kill the idea. If when there's like no hype around it.
I believe for creative people, for people who are designers and problem solvers, which you are, but you have the perspective from the development point, it's hard because it's your baby and you see the beauty of it and you see the vision that can be beautiful. And the road is
It's
kind
not
of.
so retarded, baby. You want to
A
kill it,
little bit autistic, but otherwise it's
Yeah. All right. So, how do we do it right now? Like, because we were just talking about this before we started recording, and I had this process wrote down, but you guys killed it because we don't have actually a process. It's always by context, but we can maybe walk through it, uh, and maybe we can show it on two cases, maybe welder, and maybe right now we are working on the LinkedIn plugin and how we think about it, and why are we not killing the ideas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe
So.
we can start with the LinkedIn plugin, because I think like this is kind of like good way how to do product like this. What we are doing right now. So basically, we are building something which is going to help us in the first place. So even if it doesn't have like even one external user, it's already helping us, and it's worth the time. And we are also building it in a super super simple way, where we spent like absolutely minimum time on it to see. We will also try to get some of our friends on board, and let them try it. And if we see like it doesn't bring any value, we don't have to continue. We don't have to really spend time on that.
Yeah, we can leave it in the raw phase, in the raw
Yeah,
stage,
you
and it
can
will
continue
still
it
work
for
for
us.
us. Yeah, but
Yeah,
if it
and
if
I also think that this LinkedIn plugin is also a good example of where the validation can take a little bit longer because, for example, as Mark said, we are solving our own problem and we'll believe it a little bit more, and so the
mm,
hype is bigger and you can, but for like if you cut it 2 weeks, basically, if it's a quick product, you're not even sure if you're solving the problem. The validation can take a week, or it can take longer. It can be any frame, but it should be very short. But for example, for LinkedIn plugin, it can be a little bit longer, and then for Welder, it can be really quite long. And even for
mm,
Welder Studio, which the validation or like the finding of the product can take entire year, basically, or even more. So I think this
mm,
is this is like somewhere in the middle of the scale where we do have some domain knowledge. It's solving our problem, but we are still not sure how committed are we to this field. So it should be somewhere in the middle, probably the length of this validation.
mm,
And I would say like if you really 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 want to make a successful product, and this is something like which is extremely important for you, I think you should really really commit into some field
mm.
and stay there for years.
But not exactly to the idea. This is what exactly I was thinking right now. Like if you want to, if you love some problem space, or you see something should be built, or there is some problem, that's the best way. Not seeing what should be built, but seeing the problem. You should stick with the problem for a long time. Having ideas and hypotheses how to solve this problem, and not being afraid of letting these ideas go as you learn the data on ongoing basis, and you get new inputs. Maybe the old ideas can die, like we can see with welder. There are many ideas, many hypotheses, and it's important to letting things go. And it's important not to soon jump into the building phase, because if you do it, it's much harder for you to let it go because you already spent a lot of energy on it. um, and that's the right way to do it. And if you are looking for a quick win, with some little plugin, some little tool, you should really strive for a huge response from the early validation phase. Because if it's not a huge response, you will not have the energy to stick with it. To, so, it, so, it, but there you can be lucky. Like you can be lucky. It's hard, and it's like it maybe not will not probably happen, but you may be lucky. But you will see this luck early on.
Yeah, or you can hack it in the way we are doing it right now, where we solve also our own problem, and we just try to put it out there if it's interesting for someone. If it's not, it's not a unsuccessful product. I think, like, in general, I wouldn't want to make a product this way, like, ever again. Like, where we just, maybe if it was some kind of hackathon or something, some idea which could be like super super cool, but otherwise just to try to shoot something, spend a few weeks on it. I don't think this is something we should do anymore.
I I agree with this. I agree that you should and we should not do products that are expedient just for sake of making quick buck. Like that doesn't work. And we should
Yeah,
make products that has meaning, and the meaning can be on many different sides. And when your idea has a meaning, you should continue with it. But when it doesn't have a meaning, like, and by meaning I mean it works for you, it's a problem that you want to stay in for a long time because you love it, it's a thing that will help other people and you want to help other people, or many other like meanings. I don't know how to explain this, but you can feel it. You should not do
yeah.
it.
I think there's a nice example like of a product I wouldn't want to do like ever again, and that's like Tiple, or how was it called? Like something we tried like 3 years ago or 4 years ago,
You tip
where you
them.
could, yeah, you tip them, yeah, and where you could like tip YouTubers just by posting something in some special string in a comment. And I think, yeah, that's a cool idea, but it doesn't really make sense. But why should we do this?
Hmm.
Like, what's the reason? So I think in the future we should build more things like the LinkedIn plugin, which is also helpful for us, and less things like that product.
Hmm. Cool. Do you guys feel like we have a takeaway from this? When we said the intention of this video is to show others that killing idea in the right time is beneficial. We were talking about when is the right time.
Yeah, I would say, like, if you really really want to make a product and you really want to make something happen, you should stick to a problem space and not stick to an idea, to a solution, but stick to the problem space for years. And if you are more like us, where you just want to hang around, have a fun, build something, uh, yeah, you can kill the idea pretty quickly and move somewhere else. But you shouldn't be naive about that.
Nice, well said. Marek, our master of takeaways. Really good job. All right, I think that's it. It was a really nice episode. If you guys like it, leave us a like, comment. Those are most important for us. We would love to hear from you. What's your take on this? Where do you think is the right time to kill ideas? What's your experience with killing ideas or not killing them and having a success with them? You can join this discussion by writing in my email. It's down below because we are recording them remotely through Welder, and I will be super happy to have you here. And you can also check crazymonkeys.com, .io. We don't have .com yet. Crazymonkeys.io, where we share our projects and products we did. All right. Thank you, guys.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye.